Hey everyone, it's Lisa Mears here. Thanks for joining me. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the Stamps of Life club items for March of 2024, and I'll also be making some cards with these products. So this month's stamp and die hard club set is called Beautiful Butterflies. Here's the inspiration card. So you can see some sample cards there that you can make. And here's a look at the stamp set. This stamp set has 3 butterflies. There's also some sentiments fluttering by to say hi, hello there, wishing you a day filled with butterflies and smiles. Hi, thank you, wishing you a butter day, and you're not getting older, you're just becoming a more beautiful butterfly. This is such a great set because it can be used for cards of all occasions from birthdays, sending a hello, or even a heartfelt sympathy message. If you are a member of the Stamp Club, you'll get the stamp set, and if you are a member of the Die Hard Club, you'll also get the coordinating dies. The card kit for this month is the Sincerely Yours collection. So let's go ahead and take a look at everything that's included in this card kit. So starting out, you get this large plastic storage envelope that you can store your cardstock in or your card kit contents. You also get a pack of A2 size white envelopes for your completed cards. And let's take a look at the 8.5 by 11 cardstock colors. And this color palette is so pretty. You get 2 sheets of raspberry cardstock, which is a very bright pinkish purple color. You also get the pixie in 2 sheets. That is a very light purple. You get the pool cardstock. There's 2 sheets, as well as lemonade and kiwi, and 4 sheets of the powdered sugar, which is the plain white cardstock. Look at that beautiful color palette. The paper pad for this month is Sincerely Yours, and there's lots of beautiful butterflies in this pad. There's also some pages on the opposite of those butterflies that have the trailing lines when the butterfly is flying. I don't know if there's a fancy word for that, but there's lots of solid pages with that design on them. And then you also have the pages that have the butterflies that you can use your dies to cut out. Now this particular page, you would need the add-on set to cut those butterflies out, but if you don't have the add-on set, you can just use your scissors if you want to use those butterflies on your cards. But these butterflies here are for the beautiful butterflies that you have if you are a Die Hard Club member. And then you have this page. This has all of the different sentiments on it that are in the Beautiful Butterflies stamp set. And it is so pretty because they're all in a different font color. So while I flip through here, I do want to let you know if you are not currently a club member, there will be links down in the description box below for signing up if you're interested in joining the club. And I always appreciate when you use my link to sign up because it does help support me. You can also use the code Lisa Mears, which is my first and last name. You can use that in the promo box when you sign up for a club, or even if you upgrade your club. So if you're currently in the stamp club and want to upgrade to the Die Hard Club, use my code and you'll get 500 bonus club points to spend in the Stamps of Life store. And I always, always, always appreciate your support. So you also get this Sincerely Yours die set, and I was just showing you there what it would look like if it is die cut. It's in a script font. You also get some hearts and some checkerboards. There are some polka dots. And you always get 2 of each one of the pages that you see. So that is the pattern paper pad for this month. You also get this A1 size butterfly fold it die set. So this will make a shaped card that is A1 in size. You can also use this on the front of an A2 size card because it will fit. Also included are these beautiful large gems that you can put on your cards. They have an adhesive backing. You also get these little butterflies, or you can use them as bows. Those are felt with a little silver gem in the middle. You also get some stickers. These are sentiment stickers that say springtime, lovely day, and hello friend. And then there are these little butterfly embellishments that you can use on your cards as well. You also get this gorgeous ribbon. This ribbon is in the pixie color, and I'm going to hold this up close just so you can see the detail on this ribbon. It actually has some silver along the edges. So you see the silver on the edges and then the purple in the middle. It's super pretty. So I'm going to make some cards with all of these products today. So I hope you stick around and watch me as I make some cards. I will also have a coordinating blog post on my blog at lisamearsdesigns.com with up-close pictures of each one of my cards. And if there's any additional supplies that you see me use in my video today that are not part of the card kit, I will have those additional supplies linked in the description box of this YouTube video below, as well as on my blog. So let's go ahead and make some cards. So for my first card, I'm going to use the Die Hard Club set and use the dies from the Beautiful Butterflies die set. I took this die, which is the shadow die, and it just cuts out the outline in a solid piece of cardstock. I die cut that 3 times and just using some white cardstock. And I'm going to do some inking on this die cut. And the inks that I'm using today are Catherine Pooler inks. I'm using the pink, which is the Be Mine color, and an ink blending tool. And I'm just going to start out at the top of the butterfly and add darker pink ink to the top, and then just kind of reduce the pressure on my ink blending tool and make it a lighter color at the bottom. So I'm coming in pretty heavy at the top, and then just lightening up the pressure and letting it blend out into a lighter pink and eventually down into a very light pink, almost white color. So there is my first butterfly. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the next 2 butterflies. I'm going to be using a purple as well as a green ink. So the next ink that I'm using is the Garden Party ink, which is a light green, and I'm going to do the same thing. So add it a little bit darker at the top of the butterfly, and then use a lighter hand to blend that green ink towards the bottom. So I have a little bit of a ombre effect. And I think this is just so pretty, and this is so easy to do as well. So I chose to go with the light colors for a spring themed card. I love all of these pastel colors, but of course you can use any color inks that you want with this technique. The next one I'm using is the Crushed Violet, and I'm going to come in a little bit darker at the top and then use a lighter hand to come in a little bit towards the bottom so that it blends out into a lighter purple, almost white. So there are my 3 butterflies, and again that was done with the shadow die. Now I'm going to take this die, which cuts out all of the detail of the butterfly. I die cut it 3 times. Here I'm just going to poke out all of these middle sections. Now if you wanted to, you can die cut those in a different color and piece them back in, but I don't have time for that. I wanted this to be a fairly quick card, so I'm just going to poke out all of these little pieces, and I'm not going to be piecing anything back into these butterflies, but just know that that is definitely an option. So I die cut this die 3 times out of white cardstock, and for these I'm actually going to leave white. Now another option you have is if you wanted to die cut these out of a color or do some ink blending on these and back them up on a piece of white cardstock that you cut from the shadow die, you could always do that. But I chose to do the ink blending on the shadow die and then just die cut the white outline, and I'm just gluing them together. And as far as gluing them together, I'm just putting glue on the center part of the butterfly so that the wings can stay popped up, and that adds a lot of dimension to these butterflies. There's also a 3rd die in this set that you can die cut in another color, so maybe you don't want to do any ink blending, but there's another die that you can layer on this top die with all of these cutouts. You can layer right on top so that you have another color showing through. So that's an option as well. Next, I took that same layering die and I die cut it several different times out of white cardstock, and I'm basically just making a pattern on this white slimline card panel. So the white cardstock I cut to 3¼ by 8¼ inches, and you can see I'm just gluing down all of these butterflies to that white cardstock. So it's a tone on tone, white butterflies on white cardstock, and I'm making a pattern. And for the butterflies, I'm also making sure that they do extend beyond the edges, so it looks like almost like a seamless pattern. And I'm also gluing them flat to that cardstock. And once I've had them all glued down, I'm going to turn this panel over and use my scissors to snip off all of the excess that extends beyond the edges. You can also use your paper trimmer to cut this down. But as I said, the final size is 3¼ by 8¼ So that's going to be my card panel. Next, I'm going to stamp out a sentiment. My sentiment is fluttering by to say hi, and I'm just going to stamp that on some white cardstock with some black ink. And I'm going to use my paper trimmer to cut this into a rectangle. Once I have everything ready, I'm going to go ahead and put all these butterflies and the sentiment on this card panel. Now you can either put them in a straight line like this, with all of the butterfly antenna facing the top of that card panel. But instead of putting them in a straight line, I'm actually going to put them in a little curved line. So some are facing right, some are facing left, so it looks like they're flying, and they're actually going in some of the same directions as I have the white butterflies on the white cardstock. So I'm just going to tilt them a little bit, and I'm going to leave some room there between the pink and the purple butterfly for my sentiment. I did pop my sentiment up on some foam, so it's raised a little bit. And then I'm just going to adhere these butterflies flat to the card. I did cut out a piece of raspberry cardstock to 3�3/8 by 8�3/8. So I'll add the butterfly layer on top of that, and then I'm going to add that to a slimline card base. So my card base, it does measure 8½ inches by 3½ inches. And I really love the way this card turned out. I think it's so pretty, and I love all that dimension. Okay, so moving on, for my next card, I'll be using the A1 Butterfly Fold It die set. There are 2 dies in this set. You have your large shadow die, and then you have the layering piece. I die cut them both out of white cardstock. And this die, as well as the smaller ones, has these cutouts on that layering die. You can see that you can layer in different pieces of cardstock in here in different colors to really make a butterfly with lots of different colors. But I'm keeping it simple today, and I'm just using white. But I am going to take this pink ink, and I'm going to take the layering die cut piece, and I'm just going to add a very light hand of pink ink all around the edges of this butterfly. So I think adding this little bit of a shadow in this pink ink, it does add a little bit of definition to this butterfly, so that when you add this layer to the white shadow layer, you will be able to see that shadow effect a little bit better, and it does make it stand out a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and glue this down to my white shadow. So next I went into my stash and I grabbed some flower dies. These are the scrapbook.com Sunny Lane floral dies, and I'm just taking a couple of the flowers from this set, and I die cut them out of some yellow cardstock, the centers out of some pink cardstock, and the leaves out of the kiwi. I'm just adding inks to the edges of those cardstock pieces just to add some more definition. So I'll go ahead and layer the little pink center on top of the yellow flower. And again, you can use any flower dies in your stash. but I thought it would be really pretty to add some flowers to this butterfly. So that's why I decided to keep it white, because I really wanted those flowers to stand out on this butterfly. So I have a piece of pattern paper. I cut that pattern paper to 4 by 5¼ inches, and I'm putting the butterfly so the center of the butterfly is right on the edge of the cardstock. So it looks like it's almost flying off of that cardstock. And then I just trimmed off the excess. And then I'm just going to arrange my flowers onto the butterfly and glue them down. Now I'm just putting a couple here. If you wanted to add more flowers to the wings, you definitely could do that. You can add as many as you want, but I was just trying to keep it simple. I didn't want to do a whole lot of die cutting, so I just wanted to keep it simple, and I'm just gluing the centers down as well. I'm not gluing the actual petals of those flowers, so that way I can just pull them up and have some dimension. And then as far as the background with that pattern paper, I chose to go with the kiwi pattern with the trailing lines of the butterfly. I think that's so pretty and so subtle. I didn't want to pick a really busy pattern because I really wanted that butterfly to really be the focal point of this card. For my sentiment, I stamped out hello there, and I just cut it out in a rectangle shape. I just added it to the edge of the bottom right side of that card panel, and then I'm going to add that to an A2 size card base, and that completes this card. I think this turned out so pretty and so elegant. For my next card, I have a piece of the butterfly pattern paper that I cut to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and I'm using a 2 3/4 inch circle die and die cutting a circle out of the top center of that butterfly pattern paper. I will not be using that circle for my card, but you could totally save that for another card. I did take the raspberry cardstock and I die cut a scallop circle die, and I put that around the opening of that circle. That just creates a little frame around it and adds more detail. I also die cut a piece of the blue pattern paper to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, just layering those two pieces of pattern paper together, and then I'm going to take a stamp and I'm going to center it inside that circle using my Misty. I will be stamping the sentiment down in some black ink, and the sentiment I'm using is wishing you a day filled with butterflies and smiles. That's such a great sentiment. Next, I'm going to go ahead and adhere that top layer to the bottom layer. I'm going to adhere it with some foam. So I'm going to outline the entire back side of this panel using some foam strips, because I want to have some dimension to this top layer. I don't want to just put it flat on the card. I just wanted it to have some dimension. Now, you could also use this as a shaker card. So if you're familiar with making shaker cards, it's at this point you could add some acetate to the back of that circle and then add your foam just like I'm doing to add some shaker pieces inside, and you can actually make this a shaker card. But I'm not making it a shaker card today. I'm just going to add it to the blue pattern paper so that it has a little bit of height there. And then I'll add the butterflies around the circle. So I'm going to use a larger butterfly on the left, making sure I don't cover up the sentiment, and then a smaller butterfly at the right side. So there's a small part of the butterfly die cut that's extending into the circle, and it needs to have a little bit of foam underneath just to make it have some stability, so that way it doesn't just kind of sink in to the card. So I'm just cutting little pieces of foam, and I'm going to put these little pieces underneath the part that's extending into the circle just so that it lays flat on that card. Another option you have is you can just adhere the top piece of the yellow pattern paper flat to the card, and you can always just put some foam on the butterflies so that they stand up. But if you don't like foam altogether, you can lay everything flat on the card and just adhere it with glue or tape, whatever you use for your adhesive. I am going to get some of these pink gems from my stash. I didn't use the ones from the card kit because they were a little bit too large for this card. So I just went into my stash and got some really small pink gems and just added them here to the center circle. And next I'm going to add this to an A2 size white card base. And that will complete this card. For my next card, I have this piece of pattern paper with the sentiments on it, and I'm going to use a border die to cut a border down the vertical right side of this card panel. My card panel measures 4 by 5¼ inches. Went ahead and ran that through my die cutting machine. And this border die that I'm using, it has stitching on both sides of the border. So I'll hold this closed. You can see that stitching on both the left edge and the right edge. And since I have these two pieces, I'm going to go ahead and take another piece of the pattern paper. I'm going to turn it over because I'm going to use the purple side of it. I'm going to have the words on one side and then the purple on the other, but I want to have that purple pattern paper to have the stitching on it as well. So I'm just lining up that die with the border that I die cut out of the words pattern paper. Once I line that up, I'm going to use some mint tape just to hold this die down to my purple pattern paper. I'll move the words pattern paper out of the way, and then I'll die cut the purple pattern paper. And now you can see I have two sheets of pattern paper that both have stitching on them. And now I can actually make two cards with these pieces of pattern paper. And these two pieces of pattern paper, they will fit together like a puzzle because I lined them up with the die. I am taking a piece of the Pixie cardstock. I cut that to 4¼ by 5½ inches, and now I'm just going to line one of each of those pieces of pattern paper on top of the Pixie cardstock. So here I'm going to have the words pattern paper that's larger on the left. I'll have that one, and then the smaller purple pattern paper on the right. I'll go ahead and glue each one of these down to my Pixie cardstock. And when I do that, you can see that all of these curves in that die, as well as the stitching lines, they do line up. So you can see there all of that beautiful stitching detail. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the next two pieces. So I didn't want to toss those. I wanted just to go ahead and use them on another card since I've already die cut them. So this time I'll have the larger purple side on the left and then the smaller word side on the right. So this technique you can also use to make a landscape card, but obviously I can't do that here because of the words that I die cut. It was directional, and unfortunately it has to be just a portrait card. But depending on the pattern paper you use, if it doesn't need to be a directional pattern, you can totally make this a landscape card or a portrait orientation card. So here I'm going to use the butterflies from the paper pad, and I'm just going to put them along this curved line in my card panel. So what it's going to look like, they're flying along that curved line. On the card that has the larger purple pattern paper, I am using the Hello from the sticker sheet. But the card on the left with all of those words on it, I think that I'm just going to use those for my sentiments because there's lots of different sentiments on there. So I didn't want to take away from the beauty and cover up any of this with a sentiment. So I'm just going to leave this one on the left without a sentiment and then just add the sentiment to the card on the right. I am adding them both to an A2 size card base. And that's going to complete these 2 cards. So another option, instead of using these butterfly die cuts, you can always use these felt butterflies, and you can put several of them along this curved line on your card, maybe 3 or even 5, and that would look really pretty too. And I also want to mention that for these butterflies that I added to this card, the middle butterfly, which is the largest one, I just glued the center down so that the wings pop up. So moving on to my next card, I'm going to be using the A1 size butterfly in this card kit. I'm going to be making a card, making this a shaped card. So I die cut the layering die out of the Kiwi cardstock and the Pixie cardstock. And on the purple or Pixie cardstock, I'm adding some purple ink to the wings. I am also going to add some green ink to the green butterfly. I also die cut the shadow die out of the razzleberry cardstock. I'm going to glue the purple layer flat to the shadow layer. Next, I'll add the green butterfly on top, but notice I'm only putting glue towards the center of the butterfly. I'm not adding glue towards the ends of the wings because I'm not adhering this flat to the card. Instead, I want to have part of these wings on the green butterfly be popped up so that it looks like it has some dimension. So that's why I just put the glue towards the bottom center of that butterfly. And as I pop these wings up, you can see all of those beautiful colors. That gives it a really pretty multicolor effect, from the green to the purple to that pink color. It's so pretty. And you can totally leave it like this, or you can take some of those center die cut pieces and pop them back in to the wings. And I'm going to go ahead and do that now just so that you can see. So this is an option. I have the purple center pieces, and I'm just adding some purple ink to all of them, and then I'll glue them back in. Now, if you know for certain that you want to add these center pieces, you can always add them before adding the green layer. It probably would make it much easier if you did them first, but I wanted to show you what this would look like without adding them, so that's why I'm adding them now. But even if you decide to add them later, it's not that difficult just to add them right back in to this butterfly. So I'll go ahead and add all of those purple pieces into the wings, and you can still see that beautiful multicolored look. And even if you wanted to die cut these in another color and have another color in here, you'd have 4 different colors going on. That's really up to you. So you could totally put this on an A2 size card front, but we're going to make this a shaped card. So I'm just taking a piece of white cardstock, folding it in half, taking the shadow die, and I'm placing the edge of the shadow die slightly over the fold in the cardstock. You can either have your butterfly open from the antenna just by placing the antenna over that fold in the cardstock, or you can have it open from the top wing. So you can place the die where the wing is of the top, slightly above the fold in the cardstock. I'm going to have mine open from the antenna, so I'm just moving the die so it's slightly over the edge where the antenna is on that die. Holding it down with some mint tape, I'm just going to cut off the excess white cardstock here, and then I'm just going to run this through my die cutting machine, and that's going to give me my card base. So I'm just going to remove this from the die, remove the mint tape, and then you can take your butterfly and glue it right on to the front of this white card base. Now when I flip this over, you'll be able to still see some of this pink antenna here. And if you don't like that and you want an actual clean look with all white on the back, you can always just take the shadow die again and die cut it out of white cardstock, which is what I'm going to do here. And I'm just going to glue my butterfly onto the white cardstock. And then after I glue it onto the white cardstock, then I'll take the butterfly and glue it onto the card base. And that's going to eliminate that pink from showing up on the back side of this card. So there I'm gluing it on, and then when I flip this over, you'll be able to see that now the back is solid white. I'm going to add some sparkle to the wings with some glitter, so I'm just taking some clear glue and applying some glue just along the edges of the butterfly, and then I'm going to take this glitter. This is the Wow Cotton Candy glitter. It's a very light pinkish white. It's really pretty, and I'm just going to shake it on top of the glitter, and that's just going to add some sparkle, and it's going to be so pretty. So here is my completed card. You can see how that sparkles. I love that, and I love all that dimension to this butterfly. So that is going to complete all of the cards that I made using the Stamps of Life Club products for March. If you had a favorite card today, I would love for you to leave me a comment and let me know which card is your favorite. If you're not already a club member but would like more information about the Stamps of Life clubs, there is a link down in the description box below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you like videos like this and want to see more, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and be sure to turn on your bell notification so that you'll be notified every time I release a new video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day. Bye-bye.